If I was starting a business in 2026, I would not start with a website. I wouldn't start with an LLC. I would not spend a single dollar on marketing or branding. What I would actually do is far more important, and it's not what the normal advice is. Not under any circumstance would I quit my current job until I met certain metrics that I knew were going to make me successful with what I was building. Every piece of advice that you've probably heard has to do with a fully mature business, how to run big businesses from these big gurus, not how to start small, how to work and build in a way that is sustainable for your health, for your lifestyle, for your emotional bandwidth, and to build in a way that's actually pleasurable and enjoyable and not filled with fear or anxiety. Today, I'm going to show you the version of building a business that nobody talks about, the steps that it takes to go from 0 to 99. And a way that I've personally built multiple businesses and ministries in different service and product industries. And so let me take you on the journey today to give you everything that you need to start that thing that God has placed in your heart for years. Here's the thing, people have dreams. They have God-given dreams of restaurants and businesses and salons and studios and different types of things that they want to do for a living. And when they look at other businesses in those categories, they're looking at the full mature version of it and they're thinking that's where they need to start. But the truth is that people don't start there. They don't start anywhere near there. Those are fully mature businesses that have taken years to grow to get to that point. Where they actually started was someplace much, much more sustainable and smaller. You can't start in those big places without any confidence, clientele, without having processes, systems, without having a proven outcome. And so you don't have any legs to stand on. Of course, that is unattainable because that's not how they started either. Today, I'm going to give you the 3 things I would actually focus on if I was starting a business in 2026. Not the things that look impressive, but the things that actually move the needle. The very first thing that you need to know is that businesses have 3 phases. There's the baby phase, the in-between phase, and then the mature phase. And you don't go straight to the mature phase, but you do need to figure out where your business is. You might be in the baby phase, you might be in the in-between phase. The baby phase is the phase that looks nothing like the mature phase. Like if you wanted to run a restaurant and you want to own a restaurant, then the baby phase looks like cooking out of your kitchen. It looks like testing recipes. It looks like cooking for friends. It looks like trying to find a few small catering events or cooking out of your kitchen on Saturdays to sell tacos or whatever it is that you specialize in, cupcakes, whatever. And then using that as your testing phase, using that as gaining clientele, getting the word out, getting your customers, getting people to know you. And then that word of mouth is going to help you spread. If it looks like something in a service industry, if you do something in the beauty industry or you do something for people, maybe you offer to go to their house to do it. Maybe you have them come to your house. If it's mowing lawns or working on their cars, maybe you offer to come to them because maybe you don't have a shop to rent out of yet. And then as you grow those clientele, have satisfied customers, get positive words behind you, people that enjoy your services and products or like what you have to sell, then you can start moving into phase 2. Maybe if you want to do a school, maybe it just starts with doing a week-long summer camp for kids or offering one class to a certain age group or helping, with a certain subject that you're offering a couple times a week, different classes. It doesn't usually start with a full-on, completely mature school. It starts with teaching and having classes. And so you think about what you want to get to, like maybe you want to be an author. You're going to start by writing pamphlets, not by writing a full book, And so you think of the full grown stage that you want, and then think of like a very, very simplified version of that, where you're basically just working on the heart of it. And at this stage, you most definitely will still be in your regular income. You'll still be doing whatever you're currently doing for income, unless of course God himself tells you to stop doing that and to step out of the boat right now. Then follow exactly what he says to do. In all the different things that I've ever started before, he's only ever told me to do that one time. And that one time was extremely scary. We walked on financial water and he came through for us. But the other 5 or 6 businesses that I've started, he never had me do that. He never had me quit what I was currently doing and completely stop that to just focus on the business that I was building. But I will say that once your business moves from the baby stage to the next stage, you need to set metrics. Like, at what point am I going to take the next step? Like, I'm going to cook out of my kitchen, and then I'm going to spend $30,000 on a food truck, or I'm going to take out a loan for the food truck, and I'm going to use that for events, or I'm going to set up on weekends for that, or I'm just going to do evening barbecue cookouts for that, or I'm going to do it for weddings and party pop-ups, and then once this hits certain metrics, making $5,000 a month, then I will invest in a brick and mortar and stop my day job. You know what I mean? And so you think of, okay, like I'm going to go to people's houses and do their nails. And then once I get $200 a week, then I'm going to booth rent, and then once I'm getting $4,000 a month, I will purchase a salon or start my own salon. So you think about what is the next step and what goals are you going to give yourself to get to that next step. And so in the PDF below, actually a reverse calculator to help you come up with these calculations of what your end goal will be, what your like ultimate, this is like the mature version, this is how much I want to be making, the in-between stage, how to figure out the metrics for that and to be able to set yourself goals. And then like the baby phase, like what are your initial goals? Is it a number of service? In the in-between stage, maybe that's whenever you hire your first helper. Maybe that's whenever you hire some people to take on multiple hats. Maybe you're going to hire 2 people and they're each going to wear 3 different hats. One's going to do marketing and prepping, and one's going to do books and something else, ordering, and then whenever you get your full mature stage, you have 1 person for each of those positions. So the in-between stage, so many people, it doesn't work because they're trying to do the full version. So they think, okay, in this in-between stage, I need to hire 1 person for this, 1 person for this, 1 person for this, and you don't have enough income to sustain that, and then you go in the hole, and then you get defeated, and then you're mad at God because it didn't work out. But really, it wasn't him. It was because you couldn't see that there are better ways to do it. There are better strategies. It's not compromise. It is strategy. It is, what is it going to take for me to get from step A to B to C? And I need to back down and realize and be realistic that I can't just go straight to step C. I need to do step B before that and step A before that. That is the wise way to do it. Unless, of course, like I said, God specifically tells you otherwise. So after you figure out what phase you're in, what your metrics are to get to the next phase, the next most important piece of advice I could give you is to add a little bit of professionalism to whatever you're doing. And this is super simple, okay? I'll give you an example. At one point, I had a micro venue, and as I was doing that, I became very good at balloon garlands. I thought, man, I could do this very easily. I was able to like whip them out super quickly, be able to do these amazing balloon garlands. One of my hair clients actually texted me and was like, hey, do you do balloon garlands? And I thought, yeah, I do. Instead of just texting her back and being like, yeah, what do you need? And her being like, I don't know. What do you charge? I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe this much for this size or this much for this size. No, I went ahead right then. I stopped what I was doing and I did some research. I looked on Amazon. I figured out how much balloon kits cost. I figured out where she wanted me to go, how far I was willing to drive to include in an installation, because I felt like, okay, I need to do the installations or else it's not going to work as well. And so, but I need parameters around that. I don't need to drive like 3 hours to install a balloon garland. That like doesn't make it worth my time. So I went on Canva and I very simply made a price sheet. This size balloon garland for this much money, this size balloon for this much money. I even put pictures on there of examples, 1 color, 2 color, 3 color, or, you could do whatever you want. And then it's like add-ons. If you want specialty things, $25 extra. If it's outside a 20-mile radius, it's X amount for travel, And so you put all that on there and so then that to them feels solid. It feels like professionalism. When it's wishy-washy and you're just kind of going back and forth in text and they don't have visuals, it just doesn't seem as solid. And so I went and I made her this little Canva thing. I sent it over to her. She's like, great, option A, that's what I want. I was like, perfect. Okay, give me the date, give me the time. Why don't you Venmo me a deposit? I'll be here at this time. Bare minimum, you need to text them the detail, the who, what, when, where, how, like how are they going to book you? Like, do they need a deposit? I would highly recommend, even if it's just like Zelling or Venmoing you $50 to make sure it's non-refundable to secure your date, and then say, okay, we're agreeing on this item, on this date, at this time, I'm going to deliver this. And so you put it all into one text message. Even better if you just throw it into like Claude AI and have it do a little contract for you. You send them over a contract, be like, hey, can you sign this for me, send back? It just covers all the bases. Do you have a refund policy? How long in advance do they have to refund it? How are they going to communicate with you? It covers you, and then it also covers them. So everybody feels safer. I think sometimes whenever people are trying to start a new business, they're just so casual about it. Like, yeah, sure, I can come clean your house. It's like, how much? Like, oh, well, I don't know, probably this much, and they get there, it's way bigger than I thought and all these things, and it's like, okay, maybe I need to learn to do estimates. We have to learn how to communicate. We need to set ourselves and them up for success. We need to set them up to be happy. I always say under promise, over deliver. When someone would come into the hair salon with like black hair dye that had been like dyed on their hair for 10 years and they're like, hey, I want to go platinum blonde. If I would be like, okay, great. Yeah, I can take you blonde. And then I bleach the tar out of their hair and then they leave with like dark brown hair that day, they're going to be mad because they're like, you said you could bring me blonde. And then I have to explain, well, we can't do that in one setting, that'll fry your hair, And so instead, at the very beginning, I'm like, hey, listen, I need you to understand, I don't want to fry your hair. This is going to take 2 or 3 different sessions. You're going to have to pay full price for each session because it costs me a ton of time and product. I can't do this for free. It's not my fault that you dyed your hair black for 10 years, And it's like, you never know what the hair is going to do, but hopefully we can get you to this color by today, this color by next time, and this color by the 3rd time. You know what I mean? And then if by the end of today they got to this color instead of here, they're happy. But if they're expecting here and you deliver here, guess what? They're upset. And so under promise, over deliver makes both people happy. You get to feel good about your products and services. You're setting them up for success. There's understanding. Same thing with yard work or working on a car or beauty service industry, even like cakes and things like that. Like people need to understand like that there's upcharges for different ingredients, for different add-ons, for different things that you're asking of people, and that those do cost money because it takes more time, energy, effort, and startup. You know what I mean? And so when you can communicate these things clearly through a little bit of professionalism, either through a text, you can use ChatGPT to make you a flyer. You can use Canva to custom build it yourself. You can use Chat or Claude to build you a little contract and send out to them, ask for a deposit. Those 2 simple things of having a price list with clear boundaries and then having a contract is going to save you so much headache so that when your business is in a baby stage, you can grow to the intermediate stage successfully, because you losing money because of these mistakes or these misunderstandings is not doing you any favors. This will set you up for it to be a headache, for it to be stressful, for you to feel uncomfortable and sad about it, and to not feel good about it, or to be at the mercy of other people's opinions and reviews. And you really want both them to be happy with what they receive, whether it's your product, your service, whatever it is, and for you to get compensated and feel good about it as well. And the way that you can do that is by thinking ahead of time, laying it out in text, helping them to really understand exactly what all goes into being able to deliver to them exactly what they need, so that both of you can come out on the upside and you can grow your business successfully. And the last thing that I would absolutely do is to build a staggered launch system. That means that you have a soft launch for your baby phase, you have a hard launch for your intermediate phase and your mature phase. And so what do I mean by that? I mean that when you're starting in a baby phase, like, you still have to get your name out there. You still have to get your product and service known. You need to start building your clientele and building your brand. And so that might look like some simple post on your Facebook, on your Instagram, reaching out to friends and family. When I was in hair school, I would do friends and family's hair in hair school. You know, it would either be free, I would do it at the house for practice, or they would come and pay a little bit at the school for me to do their hair there. But that was my baby phase. I was practicing doing hair. I was getting a reputation. People were enjoying getting their hair done. They were telling their friends, so that whenever I rented my first salon, I already had clients that were being referred to me. The same thing with like baking, like doing some sort of food something or service something. You start by cooking for friends and family, or helping a friend or family on their car or their lawn or whatever it is. And so you're doing things like helping tutor a friend's kid, helping teach a vocal lesson, whatever it is. You are doing maybe just a little bit of that for free, not too much, just enough to practice, to get the word out, to streamline like what is and isn't working, and to build that awareness in exchange, very important, in exchange for referrals. And so, hey, I'm going to learn this new technique called balayage. Do you mind me trying on you? Here's some pictures. They come, they get it done, they like it. Do you mind posting a few pictures on your social media and just letting people know that I did this for you and that this is a service that I'm offering, that I can come to their house and do it for this much money? I'd really appreciate that. There are very few times that people will tell you no or will not do it. Or if it's like coming to your church and being like, hey, I noticed that your bushes need to be trimmed. Do you mind letting me trim your bushes? In exchange, would you mind putting these flyers out, on a Sunday morning and let people know that I offer yard services? Doing something where you are helping someone, and that's just the baby phase, right? Like, it's like just the soft launch of just letting people know that you're offering something. Then you have the intermediate phase. This is whenever I would actually do a hard launch. I would try and be strategic. I would try and set this up at a certain time of year. If you're doing something fitness related, start January 1. Start your class January 1. Get all the people like first week free, like everybody come, and then you have to sign a 6-month contract. You know what I mean? Like, And so it's like, if I'm offering pies and I sell pies, that I'm going to be starting in October because that is pie season. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. And we got to get people all lined up for their Thanksgiving and Christmas pies. You know what I mean? And so think about the season. If it's a florist, launch on Mother's Day. As much as you can do something. I know that like the whole year might not be at your, convenience. Like if you're going to start a floral, whatever, and it's like mid-December, start with Christmas florals. You know what I mean? But think about the season, think about timing. When I started my micro venue, I did it on Ladies Night. It's the biggest night of the month that we get foot traffic in our downtown area. I was strategic about it. In fact, I did an entire video talking about how to do a successful launch. You can check out that video. Will help you understand how to use cross collaboration, where you can help other people that already have followings. And as you help them, they help give you coverage, and it helps just to build each other up and to launch successfully. There are many ways that you can do this, but having a successful launch will give you momentum. And that momentum and having a strategy, not just to launch successfully, but then to have people return is so important. Like when I first started doing hair, I asked people, especially if they love their hair, hey, I'm building my clientele. I would really appreciate if anybody notices your hair for you to tell your friends and family that I'm building my business, and I'll give you $50 towards your next service for referral credit. So maybe you give a discount towards a product or service in exchange for a referral. That's huge because then they're motivated to give you more referrals because they liked you, they enjoyed you, and who doesn't want a good discount in exchange for sending you people that otherwise you would not be able to get, which is huge. Or you could even do a giveaway. So it's like, hey, share this on your page, and then I'll, be doing a free dog clipping. And so, whoever reposts this, I'm going to choose one lucky person to get, a free photography session or, a free oil change, whatever it is that you can offer them in exchange, where you're getting your name out there, where you are getting recognized. Then say on your launch date for like medium phase, it's like, hey, we have this super successful launch. If you come back within a week or if you book within this month, then you'll get XYZ. If I started, say, the hard launch phase and we open a coffee shop, I would do the first day all drinks free. All drinks are free. Come in. You have to buy the muffins and scones, but everyone gets one free drink, and we're giving away one gold token for a free coffee for a year. You're going to spin the wheel or put your name in the drawing, So you create lots of hype. But then whenever they come in that day, I'm going to give them a certificate that says like free scone within the next 7 days, so you have this next week. And then whenever they come in for that free scone, I'm going to say, okay, 20% off your next entire purchase, within the next 2 weeks. So if you can get them back in there 3 times within the first month, that is huge. They say statistically, if someone visits your brick and mortar 3 times, then it becomes a place that they will habitually return to. And so one of the biggest barriers of having a brick and mortar to have people like come into your store is for them to just come in the first 3 times. So if you have a good strategy to get them to come in, even if it's costing you and you're making less money to begin with, that is still way better to have a then lifelong customer that is going to reside and come to you and remember you. I don't care if it's a snow cone place, or, some place that does, maybe you offer ironing, or maybe you're dry cleaners and in the beginning you just offered ironing or something. But to have a lifelong customer is going to be so much more return on your initial investment of those discounts than you could get if you just never had that person at all. Think about opening a business and it being crickets and not having anything. like that in the long term is going to cost you so much more money because you're going to be paying for employees, or your time and energy is going to be there with no income, than it is to have a launch where you are just going to build in that you're going to lose $2,000 on the launch day. That $2,000 is going to make you more money over the hype and the hoopla and everyone coming in and the social media and the sharing and the people following over the next lifetime of your business than you were going to lose by not having people ever visit your place to begin with. And so much of the strategies, it does not have to do with your bank accounts and your LLCs and your bookkeeping and all these things that kind of are prohibitive when thinking about starting a business. I'm all for good branding, but really great brands can be made through AI now. And so it doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be crazy. You can always rebrand in 5 years when you really get established. So don't spend your money there either. I'm not telling you to do a lot with Facebook ads or things like that. Like, really hone in on having a strategy, having a plan, and moving forward from the baby phase. So what can you start as your baby phase? What's the product or the service that you could do or that you could offer that you could just start right where you are now? And who could you offer that to that it would help them or it would be a gift to them? And then think about what you could ask for them in exchange. Do you want promotion? Do you want them to send you a friend? What is it that you would like them to be able to do that would help you in the future of your business? Check out my link below, which will walk you through all the things we talked about today and so much more, walking through your talents, your interest, and your resources to help you come up with a game plan to really have that God-given, enjoyable income that I know that the Lord has for you.